You're listening to the Mentors for Military podcast with your hosts, Robert Gowan, Rudy Lindsay, Mike Pritz, and Kat Kalin. So where are you guys hanging out? LA right now?
Yeah, we're in my apartment in Santa Monica.
Okay, so you just got back off vacation, a long vacation at that.
Yeah, it was kind of like a work trip that then I was shooting some stuff for NBC, and it was like a traveling thing.
Yeah.
So it took me from LA to Detroit, and my family's in New Jersey. So I just said, you know what, instead of traveling me back to LA, I'm going to go say hey to Mom.
Yeah,
and
once
so
you're on the East Coast, you might as well go ahead and just knock it out.
Yeah, and that was nice to see Mom and Dad and just hang with them for a little while. So it was cool.
So tell me a little bit about your past, each of you guys.
Okay, well, I'm a stunt woman. I'm from Ohio. I came out to California to be by the ocean. I just kind of came out here to figure out what I wanted to do for the next 60 years of working, and kind of fell into it. I met a stuntman on a mission trip, and just thought, wow, that's amazing. That's exactly what I want to do. So I started getting into it and had no idea about stunts. You know, in my life, I knew about being a doctor, a lawyer, a business person. I mean, you know, anyone can do anything, but this is the first thing that I was really passionate and excited about. So I just felt like, okay, I have to pursue this. And I'm in the exact town where I can.
Yeah.
So I'm in Turkey or Africa or something like that. I'm right here.
So were you already like a thespian in high school or college or anything like that? Or this was like your first adventure to acting? Being a stunt person?
I grew up as a ballet dancer, and I'd taken acting classes, so I was always a performer, but I'm a little monkey and tomboy. Like, I love adventuring and exploring, and I was always an athlete.
Yeah.
So that's what drew me to it.
Born and raised in New Jersey. I've been an East Coaster my whole life, but I came out to LA right out of college because I knew that the Hollywood business was where I wanted to be. My parents were not thrilled about it. I'm very much my sister stayed close to home, and I said, love you very much, but goodbye, I'm going to California. I'm a director, and I have been a director and producer for a number of years. I kind of cut my teeth and got my start working for Discovery Channel shows, which was great because I was 22, 23 and traveling all over the world and swimming with sharks. And
that had to be cool.
It was great. It was great. Yeah. And it was a great way to kind of learn. The crews are very small, so right. You kind of have to learn every aspect of filmmaking, which was wonderful. So it was kind of like my film school. And
so wait, did you ever do the whole Naked and Afraid and the whole bit? Were you ever?
I did not do Naked and Afraid. I have worked with pretty much every animal that you could possibly think of. Okay. I have done some kind of an attack recreation with that animal.
Really?
I am excellent at making fake blood.
Okay, so wait, attack recreation. Yeah. You have to.
Yes.
Why?
A lot of what I did and a lot of why I'm drawn to the type of stories that I'm drawn to now as a narrative filmmaker is because one part of my job back then that I loved was I got to track down and interview people from average Joes to Coast Guard members to ex-cons about traumatic or life-changing experiences that they had. So be it someone who survived a plane crash or who survived a bear attack or
Gotcha. So you did like a mini recreation of the event that.
Correct.
I got you.
Yeah,
okay. And
I would also interview that person about that, and it was really cool. I really loved that part of my job, and it was great for a long time. But narrative filmmaking is where I want to be, and I learned very quickly that making drama action films is what I want to do. I just love blowing things up and lighting things on fire and flipping cars.
My kind of gal. That's a great producer right there.
Yeah. So I met Bethany on an action movie that I was working on. I was working with the stunt department, and Bethany came on as a stunt driver, and we hit it off. And as I was writing Do No Harm, I kept sending it to her, and she was giving me really wonderful notes. And I remembered that on set we had chatted about her wanting to do some producing stuff. So I sent her a text and I said, you can say no to this, but would you want to produce this? Because I feel that you would be really excellent. And she said yes, and that was a number of months ago, and we've been riding this roller coaster since.
Oh my God. Bethany, what were some of the movies that you did that we would recognize if we were watching and we go, holy crap, that was Bethany?
Well, my whole job is to not be recognized as a stunt woman.
Oh, so I'm not supposed to know. Well, yeah, but it's in your IMDb stuff.
Right. Well,
Okay.
my first job, I doubled Zoe Saldana on the American remake of Death at a Funeral. I was on Pirates of the Caribbean 4, which is Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, as one of the mermaids. I was a horror stunt double in Star Trek Into Darkness. I was in Captain America Civil War last year. I just finished up Baby Driver with Marielle, which has not come out. Patriots Day with Mark Wahlberg, which has not come out. And I just finished God Particle, which is a J.J. Abrams produced film. It's a sci-fi space thing. Doubling
So
Goo Goo
some of those
Moonbot.
movies you just mentioned, I'm going to have to go back and hit the rewind button and go, okay, yeah, there it is. Right there. There she is. Because you're going to have that one little segment, right, where the camera's going to probably shoot and I'm going to know that's you rather than the actress? Or no? Is it that
Yes.
good?
Anytime you see action
Yeah.
with the people that I'm doubling, that's me. And literally, I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's my ear. That's my hands. I know that was me only because I know what I filmed. And
Yeah.
I know the actress did not do that. But that's pretty much the only way you can tell.
If you were just watching the movie, like you said, you probably had no idea because typically somebody's getting beat up, their hair's getting flown out in front of them. You have no idea that it's not the actor or actress, and instead it's some stunt double doing it.
The idea is to transition smoothly and seamlessly from the actor to the stunt person and then back to the actor. So it's funny, a lot of my job is actually hiding my face, putting your hair down, turning away from camera. When you take a reaction, your arm is over you. Like, what?
Oh my God.
You learn the tricks of the trade to help.
Well, I guess that's better than trying to be all glammed up always in front of the light and trying to look for your good side.
No, exactly. My whole passion is adventure and exploration and just being an athlete. It's cool.
So Marielle, you said you started writing Do No Harm, a long time ago. Kind of lead me up to where it is or how it is that you came about writing the movie or the script. Did you already know people who are combat veterans and that's what kind of inspired you, or what gave you the passion to want to do this?
Sure. So I am not a veteran myself, but I have a number of family members and very close friends who are in all the different branches of the military. And I tend to be drawn towards stories because I like to direct action movies and because I like to direct movies that have some emotional grit and meaning to them. I tend to find myself drawn to military, law enforcement, crime, that kind of world where those stories are inherent. And years ago, I happened upon an article about a company that was making or inventing new medical devices that may or may not help in the battlefield. And it got me on a kick. I started reading a lot about combat medics, historical stories about crazy survival things and just stories of, for lack of a better word, these heroes who did these incredible things. And it just struck me as, wow, that's a fascinating person that I haven't seen a whole lot done about. Certainly there are numbers of awesome military movies. And I won't say there's nothing about medics, because there definitely is, but a lot of times you see them as kind of like an ancillary character.
Right.
And I just thought to myself, and to be completely honest, with like before even really starting to do research, I thought, man, that's a really interesting character I would like to explore. And the process of researching has really taught me what a civilian mindset I came at it with. And just having been able now at this point, and I still have a lot to learn, but now having spoken to a lot of veterans, a lot of medics, corpsmen, Army medics, Air Force medics, it has helped to develop the script and make it so much more authentic. It still tells the story that I set out to tell, but it just it was a fascinating subject matter to me. And as we go, we will call each other, Bethany and I, and say, oh my God, I just heard this amazing story from this guy. Like, we have 1,000 films we want to make now. Like, there's so much to be told. And it's really, I can't think of a better word than fascinating for me, from an emotional perspective, from a military perspective, from a technical perspective. It's just been, it's a very rich place to draw story from.
Right.
And I think one thing we've both been so stoked on is that all the medics who we've talked to have said, this is awesome. Like, please tell a story from the medic's perspective, because like, that's a story that we want to see told.
Just to kind of paint the picture here, you had advice from people who were 18 Deltas, which is SF medic side of it. You had Navy corpsmen, Marine Corps corpsmen. You've had all kinds of different Air Force. Yeah, you had all kinds of different experts that actually lended their advice to the story and to the script that you had. So I came at it with an idea. Right. That was essentially like, I like to explore moral and ethical quandaries in the human psyche. So I came at it with an idea, and I wrote it, and then we started talking to people, and that started changing the script a little bit. And then we started sending it to people, and to us, it's hugely important. Like, this has to resonate with civilians and veterans. I want to make a movie that veterans can give a 2 thumbs up to and say that was authentic, that felt real. So a lot of credit to Bethany for finding these people who have been so open and so willing to chat with us, to the point where I will be up working on it at 1 a.m, and I will like jot a quick email off to, a Navy corpsman and say, hey, would you use your left hand for this, or your right hand, or like that, like just super specific details that to make it more real as we start to choreograph it and start to figure it all out.
Yeah, as I remember it, Marielle, as she mentioned, we met on Baby Driver in Atlanta, and then ran into each other at a stunt event here in LA. And I said, hey, I want to go camping. I'm getting a bunch of girls together. Do you want to come? And she's like, yes, I do. And I'm already going camping for the 4th of July weekend. Do you want to join us? I said, great, yes. So we're driving up together and just chatting, and I'm asking her about what project she's working on lately, because she always has a million going on and amazing ideas. She is a true director and visionary. It is quite interesting. And so she's telling me about this one, and I love our military. I'm somewhat in awe of our military members and veterans, because it's something I haven't done. I think it's so hard, and my hat is off to everyone who serves. So I was really into it, and she said, but I really need to talk to corpsmen, because I wrote this script, but I'm not sure if I want to double check the medical part and see, what they would actually do and specific lingo they would use, etc.
And also, if someone had read the script and said, like, you can't make this is terrible, this doesn't make any sense, then right then and there I would have said, okay, well then I can't. Right. But luckily we have not been met with that.
No. So, I mean, yes, to me it started out as, hey, I just need to talk to some corpsmen to beef up a little bit. And I said, okay. And so I reached out to a couple people. I reached out to DJ Strunts at North American Rescue, whom I know from working in Wilmington. And he put me in touch with Mark Flores, a corpsman. And I reached out to Jay Paisley on Instagram. And these people do not know me from Adam. And I just send them a little Instagram message. I'm like, hi, my friend. At this point, I'm not connected to the project at all. Just say, my friend is making a short film, and we need to talk to someone in the know. Would you be willing to take some time and talk with us? And both of them said yes, amazingly. So that's where it all started. Wow. And we just had Skype calls with both of them and just soaked up all the knowledge and information they gave us. Yeah. And then they so generously stayed on board, and we've been going back to them with different versions of the script, and it's grown from there. Other people, other veterans as well.
When I first set out, a very good friend of mine, Andre, is a Marine Corps veteran. He was not a medic, but I had been speaking with him, over the years, because obviously, as I mentioned, I'm fascinated by military stories. It's a world that I think is there's, even though there's been so many movies and television shows made about it, there's a never-ending amount of stories to tell, and important stories to tell. So I've for years I've been chatting with my friend Andre, who is an avionics tech in the Marine Corps, about different ideas, and I had loosely run this one by him, and he seemed to think it was a good idea, which spurred me to write the script. And then when I got Bethany involved and she started putting me in touch with corpsmen and medics, it has just continued to build on itself.
But what started you off in this angle in the first place, though? I mean, that's kind of there's, like you said, there are so many different perspectives or different ways that you could handle a combat situation.
I read an article, as I mentioned, about advances in medical technology. That led me to read more articles about more historical medics, Vietnam War.
Okay,
medics.
So when you started going down that route, because I know you said medical device and everything, but so it just really got you more into understanding the combat medic perspective.
Yes,
okay.
And it started being it occurred to me as I was reading these stories that it was a very interesting perspective to explore as someone who is trained to fight, but whose job is to save lives and to fix people up. And those, to me as a civilian, seem to be relatively competing agendas. You're talking about saving a life, and also if you have to, taking a life, and fighting, and because you are also a soldier, and just the extreme measures to which these people went to help their comrades.
And sometimes the enemy too.
Right. And that was another part that was really fascinating to me, is as I was reading these stories, it was also reading bits about exactly that you are also expected to help the people who are there.
Absolutely.
And you don't know who this is, but you have to help them. And that's like the idea of the Hippocratic Oath. And I know that's not necessarily like it's not like this is a doctor in a hospital, but that idea of do no harm, and that idea of being someone in the medical field whose job it is to fix people in a scenario that is so. Someone said something so interesting to us that we were talking about that I loved, which I think is in our Indiegogo campaign video. I think it was Jay who said it to us, but I don't want to misquote it. I'm not entirely sure, but it was something along the lines of, our job is only 50% over after the battle. That's when the other half of our job starts. For a lot of the military, like, that's when their job ends. And for us, that's when our job continues on. And I don't know, to be honest with you, it was just a really to me as a filmmaker, it felt like there's something so human about that. And one thing that's come up for us, and Bethany can speak to this too, is the hope that this film can start conversations about that. I mean, a lot of what we talk about when we're emailing people or talking to people is how the concept of war is such like a broad, vague thing. And it's really easy to just be for or against it. And it's terrible. Like, I wish that we could live in a world where there was no fighting and killing and all that. But we sought with this film to tell a human story and boil it down to reminding people watching it that these are human beings who have to deal with these kind of split-second decisions every day. And yes, they go through tremendous amounts of training to do that. And yes, someone who has been in the military certainly would probably view a scenario differently than I as a civilian would. But at the core, we're all human beings. And just reminding people of that, I think, is important to me. Would you say that's a good way of putting it?
I talk to a lot of friends. I mean, we live in California. It's very liberal, very hippie, and you hear people so against war. And I think that leads to people also being against our troops sometimes, where I separate that. They're either signing up for a duty to their country, they feel like they should, or they want to go to school, and it's a good way. I mean, there are myriad reasons why people join the military, right? But nevertheless, we're sending our fellow humans over into these insane situations. And so I liked Marielle's idea of taking a look at a specific event. And putting. putting our neighbor, we might not be there, but our neighbor is in this situation where it's split-second life and death decisions, and they're trying to hold on to compassion and humanity while being in a war zone.
And having read this script, because, you sent me a copy of it, Bethany, and I looked it over, and I think one of the challenges that you guys probably ran into is not just finding people who have been in those types of situations or have the training, but they also almost have to be a visionary, because you're trying to paint that same picture in the story that you're portraying. And if you don't get it right, that's where I think you can also lose the military community, because if it's not portrayed correctly, then they're going to go, okay, well, these were civilians who attempted to try to make something real, but they missed the mark.
Well, that's what we keep running into. And this is why our veterans' feedback is so important to us. I mean, I think it's paramount, and we're putting it at the forefront of this script. Anything that they say, we're taking as gold and trying to implement, because we understand that for a lot of these combat medics, they have to shoot first and then take care of people, because if they don't, then everyone's dead. So a lot of them are like, well, we wouldn't have compassion, we wouldn't have feelings over there, it's, kill or be killed. So we're trying to
find the best way to tell the story, because the overall remarks from the veterans who have read it are, yeah, this is good, and this is a good story to tell, and it's one we want to see told. And so everything that we have been doing in the last month has been, how do we tell this story with this emotional impact in the realest possible way?
Yeah.
And making our military look strong, tough, well-trained, competent, while still somehow holding on to a bit of compassion and humanity, which we keep hearing, okay, no, feelings get you killed. Being emotional gets you killed. We wouldn't do that. Don't think your training kicks in. So we're definitely trying to show that, but still reminding people, okay, but this is still human, and you don't train everything out.
And
no matter how
if nothing else, it would be completely, I would relish a military member watching the film and saying, that was really well done, but it shows that, you can't have feelings, because that's the conversation we want to start, right? That's a conversation a civilian who's watching the film needs to hear a military member say, see?
Well, there's totally going to be an after-action review on everything, because that's just what military people do. So, of course, in reading the script and you look at it and you go, okay, yeah, to your point, I could see why that occurred. The reason why is because bang, bang, bang. Had that person not done that, then he wouldn't have found himself in that situation. I don't know how much of the script you want to reveal, or if you're trying to keep it to where until it actually is released to give it a bigger impact. But, if you're wanting to share some of the script, I think you could kind of give a synopsis of the whole picture that might be able to help people understand what you're kind of describing, because I got it from when you guys were talking, but having read the script, I can see it better, and I can understand what you're trying to portray by the synopsis of what it is, the overview of what you had.
Sure. Do No Harm is a story about a Navy corpsman attached to a Marine platoon who is tending to a severely wounded Marine and is put in a scenario where he has to make a decision whether or not to take action against a child. And the outcome of his decision is essentially how the film plays out.
These are real life situation type of things. I mean, you're going to be in a situation where, you're going to have to make split decisions. And in this individual's case, it's not just a life or death situation of his own. He's also thinking about, at those moments, about his own life, the life of the person that he's working on, and this position that he's now been placed into. And so he has to make a decision. Now, you could after action review that 100 different ways as to which one is the right decision. Unfortunately, each one of those is going to play out a different scenario.
Exactly.
So none of them might be a right decision, but one of those decisions is going to have some kind of series of events that's going to occur after that. And you laid out one series of events from the decision of what this corpsman made. And I think that, again, I think it was very well laid out as to how it was described, including up to how you viewed the situation taking place from different people's perspectives and hearing that. And so I'm sure that was a lot of what the feedback that you got from those who are veterans who've probably been in very similar situations. I wouldn't have been surprised, actually, if a few of them have said, actually, this happened to me, or it was something very close to that. Yeah.
I was speaking to one of the corpsmen we were talking to, and he said verbatim, myself and my peers have been in eerily similar situations to this. And everyone, I want to be really clear that everyone, because it's very important to me as a filmmaker, especially because I do come from a documentarian background. Yes, it's a movie. There's a story that we're trying to tell, and we want to tell a good story that's moving. But I have asked everyone that we have spoken to like point blank, can we make this? Like, is this a good movie to make? I don't want to, like, the intention, as Bethany said, is to start conversations, open discussions. It is not to make anyone look bad. It's to shine a light on something that I think a lot of people don't think about when you think about this kind of war scenario. Right. And it's been very important to me along the way to make sure that this is something that, and it's been a huge boon to me as a filmmaker to have veterans like Mark and like Jay read the script and say, yeah, this is something I can get behind. It may not be the most common scenario, but it's not unrealistic. And at the end of the day, the story, and I think you put it perfectly. In fact, I kind of want to save that audio of you talking about how, there's 10 different ways this could have played out, and we're choosing to show one.
Right. Well, and if you think about it too, if you think about a movie, in a larger movie, this very well could be a scene within a movie that then could be dissected in any classroom environment where you're sitting there with a group of individuals and say, okay, what would you have done? And you could do this in a veteran situation as well. And again, you'd have so many different people give different perspectives, and no decision or no choice is the wrong choice, but each of which have consequences. And so you've got to understand what those are. And unfortunately, you only have seconds.
And that is exactly what the movie's about. Right. That's it. You just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I would like to see. I would like to spark conversations between civilians, veterans, military people. Let's talk it out, instead of just pointing the finger and judging, be like, no, that would never happen, or I would have done it this way. I would love to hear conversations, because
and
I think that's where the meat of this is.
And, of course, when you start thinking about the training that these individuals go through, if you look at specifically like Jay, who's an 18 Delta that spends about a year or so or longer actually within training for medical training. And then you have someone like even the medics assigned to Ranger battalions or special operations forces, many of which end up going as well to the same exact course as the 18 Deltas, which is a year long. So there's a lot of extensive training. These people are not just somebody who learns how to put on a tourniquet and a bandage and apply pressure and the basic. These are individuals that we referred to them as doc. Because these are our doctors as far as we're concerned, and they're the closest thing we have to saving our lives or our friend next to us, our comrade next to us, and so. We want them to be the best trained, and they usually are the best trained. So these are the people that gave you the advice. I think that they probably would have told you, knowing a lot of these veterans, that they probably would have said, no, this isn't going to work. This isn't right. Or this would have never played out in this situation. And the scene that you actually place it within, I think is going to resonate with a lot of veterans who've had to go into situations like that you place this corpsman into, and the Marines and what they're facing, because even those series of events happen on occasion as well. These are type of situations that our military are placed in. And in this case, it happened to be a corpsman, and it happened to be an event that he's trained to do, and yet he had to make decisions because, like you said, first, he's a soldier. Second, he's a medic. And so he was trying to deal with both situations at that moment. I think it'll actually do very well because...
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think that if you've got a military community, especially somebody that's as well trained as these individuals, and I can't state that enough, that are giving you the advice and the consultation, you got to believe that these individuals would have said something differently. And the fact that they're supporting it makes me want to support it that much more. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. And I can't state enough how important it is for me and for Bethany that this feel as authentic as possible. I'm up all night, every night, just, wanting to make sure that the uniform is accurate, the specific type of rifle is accurate.
Yeah, thank
God. The setting is accurate,
There's nothing that irritates me more as a veteran to watching a movie and going, oh my God, okay, that dude wouldn't look like that. And seriously, I mean, there's times where it's like they got it totally wrong.
Yeah, as a producer, I'm trying to get every detail accurate. I'm talking to people literally because I don't want first right off the bat someone come in and be like, oh, I'm taken out of it because nope, that's not even right.
Yeah, you'll lose them within the first few seconds.
Exactly. We are civilians, but we are doing everything possible to do all our research, to talk to the right people, to talk to as many veterans as possible who are there, and make sure every detail is accurate and correct. Because I think that's also doing justice to telling your story. I want to make a movie about a combat medic, and I want to do it accurately and justly.
And I get, for me, it's more fun as a director also to think about the details. Like very early on, one of the things that Jay talked to me about and that I put into the lookbook that I created was, I love these visceral details that he'll give me. He said your uniform is crunchy because of all the sweat that's dried in it.
Yeah, days, months. Yeah, right.
Right. Like as we're bringing on crew members, looking at wardrobe people, that is huge. If the wardrobe person shows up and the uniforms are clean, I'm gonna be like, you better go roll around in the dirt for a while. Those things have to look lived in and worn,
Right.
And just as we've been sending the script around for notes, those details, I put in the script that these Marines the Navy corpsmen and the Marine are filthy. And that was something that got underlined that was thumbs up, yes. We are dirty.
And it's not a makeup filthy if it's a days of living in, yes, right.
It's dirt is in your pores filthy.
Even how the actors are going to act and portray it. I mean,
we're doing our best. I mean,
so just kind of explain maybe
millions of dollars, but we are doing our best.
So explain maybe how far along you are. So you're not in the infant stages, just to be clear, because we have talked about the consultation that you've received, but you're not in the infant stages in terms of trying to get the script in its accurate form. At this point, you feel like you're pretty 90%, 95% accurate in terms of what you're wanting to portray. It's still probably a living document up to the moments you're filming.
It will always be a living document.
Right.
But I would say we're 95% there. I just turned out a new one, I think, a day ago or something that just adjusted some specifics. I think also as we get closer to the physical filming, more of those details will flesh themselves out. I fully intend to have the actor go through training with a corpsman. Again, as a short film, as a low budget short film, we're up against time and money constraints, but we're doing everything in our power to make sure that those things are addressed to the best of our ability. And we absolutely will have an advisor on set who can be keeping an eye on the filming and saying he just did something with his hand that looked totally wrong. You can't use that take.
Right.
Because that's important to me. And again, to the same point as the uniforms and the weapons and the setting being correct, those movements being as correct as possible. And of course, understanding that every person is different. Every medic may have their own, to some point, may have their own idiosyncrasies that
each branch,
way that they like to do it.
Right.
But I want to be able to say that we did everything in our power to make it real. And we're working towards it. So the short answer to your question is yes, the script is a living document. I feel that we're 90 to 95% of the way there. And it will continue to get as close as, 99.9% by the time we're shooting. So where we're at, we're in pre-production right now. So we are crewing up. We have an incredible director of photography who I could not be more happy about. We obviously, between Bethany and I, we have a wonderful stunt team coming on, and slowly but surely bringing on those different positions and being very clear with each of them, with the wardrobe people, with the production designer, that authenticity is the most important thing. And that is,
I keep drilling into everyone.
Yeah.
And when I reach out to people too, I'm like, this is our goal. If we're even going to take our time to do this project, we want to do you guys justice.
Yeah. And look, that's
every little thing.
completely candidly, that's where a lot of the fundraising is going to. We have an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign, and that's where, and we're very explicit about that on the campaign, that like the reason that we're trying to raise this money is so that we can afford the appropriate, authentic things, and that we can take the time and the resources to make those things right and not have to settle on something because we can't afford it.
So where can people go to find out more information about it and, of course, to donate? Because, I mean, let's face it, one of the things that you're looking for at this point is assistance in the funding, and I think you're trying to raise $40,000. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah. And we've had lots of wonderful support from family and friends and many veterans. And people like Jay and Mark have been, and yourself, helping us spread the word.
Yes,
it's been awesome. Social media,
in contact with different veterans groups. Thank you.
Our like Indiegogo links are not like it's not like I can say go to www.fundthisfilm.com. Oh, but I would like to say this, that we've also been getting support we've been reaching out to veteran-owned businesses, because we do there are many options of ways to support the film. In-kind donations, monetary donations on an individual level. There's a lot of different tiers. Even $5 makes a huge difference. And for people out there who are listening to this who may not know where the money goes, like $10 can buy a meal for a crew member for a day. And a lot of our crew is going to be working for free. And
this is a nonprofit contribution.
Yeah. It's nonprofit. It's tax deductible.
Right.
Yes. $100 goes towards wardrobe rentals. More than that goes towards camera rentals. There's so many things that it takes to make a film and to make a film well.
Lenses, obviously sound.
Set. We're building a set, so all of that construction and that labor costs money. And
wardrobe,
we've been
the flak vest, the weapons.
Yeah. We don't want to just throw people in camo and call it a day.
Right.
They have to have the correct
full kit. Yeah. Right.
Full kit. Yeah. And on top of that, we've been getting great individual support from, like I said, family, friends, many veterans. We've also been reaching out to and have had some success with corporate sponsors, with veteran-owned businesses.
And patriotic businesses as well.
Yeah. I've been in talks with a great company called Pit Barrel Cooker that is owned by a Navy Corpsman, a veteran Navy Corpsman who has read the script and likes it. And we're seeing if we can work out some kind of corporate sponsorship with them, which would be great.
Is igg.me/@/do-no-harm-film/X.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wish they gave us an easier.
I'll put that on our link of the actual.
Ridiculous.
But they may not be able to click it, is the bad part of it. So what I'll do is I'll also add it to our website somehow, and
cool.
make it to where that they can go to it directly and such. I think it's an important thing, obviously, if nothing else, that it's portrayed correctly so that these conversations can happen. I think it's a good training material for both people that are in the service as well as those who are trying to understand perhaps what some of these combat veterans are going through or have gone through. Certainly, it's a very traumatic experience that you're trying to portray as well. And in order to do that correctly, it's going to have the right set and the right feel. And like you said, you're trying to portray that to its most 100% accurate way. And certainly the funds go a long way in trying to get that whole image and whole thing put together. So,
and I will say that people are amazing and stepping up to work pro bono. We're getting working professionals in every department. We have an exciting announcement. Shanola Hampton of Shameless is our lead actress.
Oh, awesome.
So we're very excited about that.
She's coming on pro bono.
Pro bono, like it's just been.
People are behind our script.
People are getting behind it.
Yeah, this project to tell this story. So it's really exciting, but 100% of the money is going back in to make it accurate and believable.
Have you thought about hiring Jay or Mark?
Jay's Atlanta-based, so it makes it a little bit more challenging. But we have invited them both to be present, to have a hand in training the actors, in order to make that as seamless as possible.
Sure.
I would love it. I would love for them to be on set every day. That would be like a dream come true for me, because then I can know that someone is focusing on those details, and I can continue to do my job as the director and know that I have, as Bethany was saying, we have all these incredible crew members coming on to know that I also have a number of military advisors who are there to make this film as good as it can be.
Right.
We absolutely will have a military advisor for that.
I just want all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been really fun. I've learned a lot, and we hope to turn this into a feature film eventually.
There's so much more to tell.
There's so much more story, and it's exciting, and it's invigorating, and it's
we
just
plan
cool.
to enter this into multiple different film festivals and travel with it. And
so this is not my first short film. I've directed a number of other short films, and they've done well for me. And I'm very proud of my work. I've toured the festival circuit all over the world. My work has gotten attention at studios like HBO and NBC and Sony and Viacom, and it's been great. And I really truly believe that the scope of Do No Harm will be even greater. And we just want it to resonate with veterans and civilians. That's really the end goal at the end of the day.
I couldn't have said it better. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and at Facebook by searching at Mentors4MIL, and please subscribe to our podcast. It's free, and it ensures you're the first to hear our latest podcast show. We have several options depending upon your device, and we're at iTunes, SoundCloud, at Stitcher, and at TuneIn Radio. It doesn't matter whether you are searching for your passion or purpose, finding your way through a military or civilian career, working on your fitness, or just about to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Get after it.